go ahead and introduce myself for those of you who are here today that don't know me. I am an extrasensory luminary, intuitive. I'm a clear conduit channel. I've been doing that since age 5. You can find me at aurareader.com, and it's great to be here with you today. And I'm going to be channeling in a saint, Saint Valentine to be specific. I've been working with him for a couple of weeks, and as I was stating when my sound cut out so rudely and abruptly earlier, he actually is quite different than what I expected when I began channeling a saint that is allegedly associated with the Roman Catholic Church, according to lore and alleged history. And what the Roman Catholic Church tells us that he is all about is not what he has told me that he is about. So I will tell you a little bit about St. Valentine's personality from what I have noticed that he is portraying to me. He is straightforward. He is an original first wave indigo being. Shocker, St. Valentine, the one that's all about the candy and the love and all this stuff, or so you thought. This one is a straightforward, straight shooter. I just channeled Dolores Cannon, for those of you who don't know that. That's on YouTube, by the way, if you want to find out more information. He reminds me a lot of her, which is very interesting that I just channeled her last week, and he's here this week. And he is like this male version of her. And with the exception of his little pissed off, for lack of a better term, he's pissed off that the Roman Catholic Church has portrayed him in a way that he does not want to be associated with. So I'll tell you a little bit about the story of Valentine's Day according to what he told me that the church portrayed him as. So he told me during our time these past 2 weeks that the story of Saint Valentine began in the 3rd century, and it was under this pretty oppressive Roman emperor, and and he was the kind of there was an emperor, I think what is his name again? Claudius II is what he's calling him now, and his name was Valentinus. And, Emperor Claudius had ordered all the Romans to, this is the story anyway, to worship 12 gods and, to do all this stuff. And he had made it like this crime that was punishable by death to associate with Christians. And allegedly the story is that Valentinus, otherwise known as Saint Valentine, was dedicated to the ideals of the Christians. And the story is that, not even the threat of death, would keep him from practicing his beliefs. So he was arrested and imprisoned, according to lore and history anyway, and what the church, tells people. He was arrested and imprisoned because he was trying to encourage young soldiers to marry their wives, because he felt, that if you're married, that you would be more dedicated and to everything that you're supposed to do as a soldier, and so forth and so forth. And then there's this story about this blind girl that's associated with this too, that he told me about, that this blind girl named Julia had been blind since birth and really sick, but has a quick mind, and basically speaking, Valentinus allegedly took her in and educated her and healed her vision and did all these brilliant things, and then she got her vision back. So that's a story associated with that too. And then she was, turning into a Christian after that because she felt like God had healed her. This story is, and then of course they martyred him, thereafter, because they're like, oh my gosh, we can't have this proof that Jesus allegedly heals people. The story, according to him, is vastly different, and I would like for him to channel that through now. We're not going to be doing any clear conduit channeling today because he's rather grumpy, and I don't really want that coming through me. So we're just going to do mediumship channeling like we usually do, and I'm going to let him talk about what the actual story is, which is pretty fascinating. Okay. He said, take the story and turn it all around. Take everything that they're saying and make it backwards. I was ordered to do something that was against my will in terms of having people marry, and I actually did not. I did not encourage young people to marry. Love for me means facing fear, and I encourage polygamy. I encourage being single. I encourage finding love for yourself first. I encourage everything other than what the church tells you that I encouraged. I was martyred by the Roman Catholic Church for encouraging any free will choice involving self-love. And I even encourage being single first before doing anything and dedicating yourself to finding love in your heart for yourselves. I encouraged what the church thought as sacrifice, what the church thought as selfish, and then they thereby sacrificed me and made it look like the Christians did it. The Roman Catholic Church sacrificed me. Christians at that particular time were actually quite different. They were Gnostic, and this is hidden from your text. They wrote many well-known texts, what you know today as the writings of the Essenes, the Pistis Sophia, the Nag Hammadi, the Dead Sea Scrolls, all of it, all of the Gnostic texts. These were the true Christians, not the Christians of the church. These were the Christians that I actually associated with. And the church, the Roman Catholic Church, did perform my execution for following the true Christian belief within Gnosticism. And I was executed brutally for teaching people how to love themselves. I would never wish for anyone to go through what I went through. And this is why I don't encourage that you sacrifice yourselves in the name of love. I don't encourage this holiday. I don't support this holiday if you make it about everything other than you. If you make it about everything other than self-love, I would not encourage it. Love starts from within. However, there are two sides from that. If you don't love yourself, which is a large component of the human conscious collective issue at this time, if you don't love yourselves, how can you love anyone to begin with? That is problem number one. However, if you don't love yourself to the extent that you will never believe that you can, start in an opposite way temporarily. Find approval. Even if you feel that this may be external, you can do this as well. Children don't begin loving themselves. They begin with needs from their mother. They begin as being breastfed by their mothers. They need love. They need support. They need milk. They don't start out with solid food. Self-love is solid food. You aren't brought into this human body knowing how to eat solid food, nor are you brought into this human body knowing how to self-love. If you were not connected to your mothers appropriately and with love, you will not know. Therefore, it is natural that you should initially seek it externally. But then you take it internally. Then you have both. Then the external begins to reflect what the internal is at that point. But sometimes it can't start out that way. It depends upon your nature, your upbringing, your relationship with your mother, and how you mother yourself. Okay. That was an interesting introduction. Thank you. He has a bit of a grumpy tone. I kind of feel like, in his personality that he's very knowledgeable and factual, but I feel like I'm talking to Scrooge, you know? So I feel like I'm talking to someone from that movie, Grumpy Old Men. Just letting you know a little bit about his personality. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to begin to take some questions now because I don't operate well in silence when I'm around him because he just kind of silently sits there all grumpy. And I'm like, I'm a really loving person and I like to talk and I like to communicate and I like to share. So my interactions with him as a channel have been really unusual because normally I'm pretty comfortable in silence if I really trust people around me. But if I'm with someone who seems a little like uncomfortable, which he is, he still seems to be very much in his third dimensional perspective. He didn't go to the resting place, as Dolores Cannon would call it. He didn't ascend in anything. He's not coming from a 5D perspective. He is completely in his trauma and he is grumpy about it. So I get really uncomfortable around that because it's a little toxic. Much in the same way that if a human is carrying around their stuff and they're all pissy around you and you're kind of just like, oh God, you know? So that pretty much explains the extent of our interaction. So I've been really grumpy all week long because I've had this grumpy person around me who's still angry at the church. So I know that you came here expecting us to talk about some beautiful things, and I'm going to ask him to talk about some beautiful things, but he may be a little short with you. So let's answer some questions. Here we go. And we kind of discussed this question earlier. I just put it in the current topic list. The question is, St. Valentine, how can we best increase our own self-love? He says self-love from the physical perspective, mental perspective, and emotional perspectives. Ask yourself what you need. Speak to your heart. Speak to it as if it is a separate portion, that it is not a part of you. Because a person who does not love themselves effectively does not know that they have a heart. Therefore, you feel separation, even if it isn't true. Talk to your heart as if it is a beautiful, innocent child standing in front of you. A child that is not you, doesn't look like you. This is not a mirror reflection of you. Don't do that because then you will be hateful to the child. Talk to your child and ask, what do you need? What do you need for me to love you right now? And the child could say some very basic things. I need a nap. Go do it. I need sleep. Go do it. I need food. Go do it. I need to tell someone off. Take a rest first and then go do it. He's just like this, guys. I need spiritual food. Go do it. Go do self-love practices. You have many in your modern day that we did not have because in my times that was considered selfish. Go do any self-love practices. I need to meditate. Heaven forbid I did that in my time. Sometimes I just stop and laugh at him. He's so grumpy. Okay. As I stated, if you need to seek approvals externally in order to love yourself, one of two things are going to happen. One of two things is going to happen. The reflection that will come back in your direction when you seek self-approval. For instance, if you go to someone you love and say, this is what I'm seeking. Can you approve that I'm a loving person? Can you approve that I'm a good person? Can you approve that I'm good in my selected career choice? Can you approve that I'm okay with you in this relationship if you are speaking to a partner? If you're looking for those approvals, be prepared that the person in front of you from whom you seek approval may likely reflect back to you the state of how your inner child feels about himself or herself. That may or may not be nice. That may or may not be loving. Take that information, feel it, face it, go further within yourself. That is something that I wish I had done that I did not do. Go further within yourself and allow this component of you to shine forth and heal this component of the child within your heart center. This is the best thing you can do when you must seek approval. And then you will notice that when you seek approval thereafter, what you get in return is a reflection of how you love yourself, and then you shall find support You shall find that people support you and love you and give you validating advice. You will not get validation or approval if you do not validate or approve of yourself. However, do it anyway, ask anyway, go into it anyway, because it will cause you to face your deepest fears about yourself, which will then bring you back to the light of self-love anyway. Thank you. Okay, this one is, please tell us the real history of who you are. He just very grumpily said to me, I already did that. And he's just shaking his head and nodding at me. So yeah. He said, the prison story is not exactly accurate. But it doesn't matter. Anything that happened to me doesn't matter. I did choose martyrdom. This you should know. I realized this during my death. I realized this at some point, that I did choose martyrdom, and during my death I started to understand what it was about and why I chose this. And I realized that anytime I choose anyone else's needs over my own, that I effectively martyr and sacrifice myself. I don't want you to do the same today, tomorrow on your holiday, or any given day thereafter. I don't want you to do what I did. Don't martyr yourselves. Don't sacrifice yourself for any relationship, even if you love the person, even if they are meeting your needs, but especially if they are not. Just give him a dirty look. He just gives my dirty looks right back to me. I'm just like, did you say that? And he's like, yes, I did. Deal with it. Except he doesn't say deal with it. He says, handle it. Handle it, Pamela. Handle it. Very annoying. And I am definitely much like the rest of you. I am no different with going through this self-love, going through that stage in my spiritual growth. So I'm right there, and he's teaching me so much. Anytime I try to eat some crappy food just because I'm in an emotionally bad state, he stops me and he puts his finger up to what I'm about to eat, and he's like, is that self-loving? And I'm like, no, it's not, but it tastes really good, which is, that's okay, right? And he's like, is it going to be okay? Are the repercussions okay? Are the consequences okay? And he starts like raising his voice at me. So yeah, that's what I've been dealing with all week. So let's go ahead with this next question. Let's see. Okay, he discussed this already a little. The question is, I would love St. Valentine's opinion on needs in relationships. A common teaching is we should all meet our needs within ourselves and not through others, as everything we need is inside ourselves. I can see how this might be true. And then the question cut off, so you'll have to put the other part of your question in chat or shorten the question. He'll go with what you have though. He states, it is important that the person with whom you are in a relationship reflects how you treat yourself. Yes, it is true that this is causing you to meet your own needs. However, once you begin to understand your own needs and you understand and heal the causes of this reflection, the belief systems within you to cause you to attract someone who cannot meet your needs, once you do this and you heal this, would it then be effective to stay with someone who doesn't meet your needs? The reflection would then shift. You would then be reflecting to them someone who does meet their own needs, and they will lose interest in you. They will grow bored. They may grow resentful. They may outright betray you. Or you could teach them to meet their own needs. This is another place to go with this learning and this teaching, is that you, by example, by meeting your needs, teaches them to meet their own needs, and then they begin to effectively meet your needs in a constructive manner. However, if the reflections are done and the lessons are done and the person still refuses to be in a compromising relationship, this is a concern. Love is not everything that you believe that it is when you watch your movies. It's straightforward, guys. Love is not any of your movie scenes. Love is not always feeling good. It is compromise. And not compromise of yourselves fully, not sacrifice. There is a definition, not a comparison. There are definitive differences between compromise and sacrifice, and this is the meat of what I'm here to share with you today. Sacrifice means you change everything about yourself to meet that other person's needs, desires, and wants. Don't do that. I did that. You see how well that turned out for me. I want just, I, I want to execute him right now. He's so annoying. Kidding. Proceed. He just snarkily says back to me, thank you. The definition and the difference between the sacrifice and the compromise. Compromise is when you love yourself enough to formulate a balance between what you need and the other person needs, and then you feel very happy about meeting their needs, even if you don't understand why you're doing it. And then you learn and understand that it is your need as well. You learn and understand that you have grown from this compromise. You grow together in logical, mature facets of yourselves. And in your 3D components, you grow. You make these compromises not just to better them, but to better you and to better the collective within the relationship that encompasses the two of you. Or the three of you. Don't talk about polygamy again. He believes, he has this belief system, and we need to share this, that anyone can love as many people as you want. I happen to be very opposite of that. So he and I clash heads all the time. You know, I'm a big believer in the twin flame connection and, you know, you choose one and et cetera, et cetera. He's a big believer in you love who you love, and when it's done, and then you move on, and maybe you love 1, 2, 3, 5, or 20. So yeah, he and I don't get along sometimes. So let's take another question. I hope that that answered your question, because he's not answering. And he stopped right then. He goes, because I'm not answering any further. Let's see. There's someone who talks about love so much. He's so ornery. Okay. The question is, how do we make ourselves fully available for love? That is a great question. He said, no, it is not. Okay. Again, apologies to our channeled guest, for our channeled guest for his rudeness. I'm going to stop repeating back some of the rude stuff you're saying. He said, in all truthfulness, the reason why it is not a good question is because you already are love. Understand why you're here. Understand that you're born in innocence of source, which is love incarnated. You don't need to make yourselves fully available if you understand that love circumvents fear, that love is not fear. This is the best thing that I can teach you today, is that love is the opposite of everything that you fear. If you have any fears at all, step up, step forward, face it. This is the best way, is to understand that you are not fractured, that you are love, and that there is nothing to fear. If you fear it, it is a good sign that you should be facing it, with the exception of stonings and executions. Seriously? He is very dramatic, and he was telling me these stories like late last night. He woke me up at like 2 a.m. and he was telling me this story about how humans like to make things about like so dramatic, and I'm so opposite of him. I don't believe in drama. I believe that everyone has a right to their personal expression. I believe in boundaries if that personal expression hurts other people. But I don't really believe that there's a such thing as drama. You know, I believe that everyone has a right to that expression, and that I get to put up my wall if I don't like it. So there you go. But he believes that that humans like to make drama out of everything, and that humans like to take their deepest fears and turn them into this big, massive thing that prevents love. And he goes like this. He said, you turn it into a big, massive dilemma. And he said it with that accent, just like that. Big, massive dilemma. So, and he believes that that's unnecessary, that you are, he says, you are exacerbating and exaggerating what could be a simple task of fear facing, that if you do it, instead of allowing it to grow and consume you and become this big dilemma, this big drama, that essentially you would have faced the fear and you could be loving yourselves and others well before, he said, well before any of it gets out of hand. So he suggests facing fears first before they turn into anything rampantly, devastatingly soul-eating. So, and I do agree with him. I do agree with him in that facet, that we keep it simple. That's how I would suggest to you as well. Keep it simple, face it right away. And it's a sign that if you fear it emotional, if it's emotional and spiritual and you fear something emotional, do it anyway. That is definitely good advice. I like that. Let's answer another question. Okay, talking about monogamy. You are definitely going to piss him off talking about monogamy. Okay, the question is monogamy a type of relationship that just cannot work over time? There is so much divorce right now. I am wondering what your views are on this. He says, my views lie in the middle. This is something that I believe that there is a balance. If you are done with the learning within any specific relationship, one of you will leave. That is inevitable. If you are done with the learning in the relationship, but then you choose more learning, you will stay. You will not be bored. You will choose a new contract together. This is when relationships become more difficult, at least temporarily. Within monogamous relationships, if you grow stagnant, you will grow bored. You must learn further. You must never cease your education about each other and about your individual selves. As long as you are on this path of learning, it can work. The concern in your human conscious collective in its current state of existence is that once you grow bored, you assume that it's done, and your assumption creates that. That is why you have divorce. You mean I actually liked your answer? I think he just facepalmed me. He just went, it's okay, I did that a second ago to you. Me? Okay, let's answer another question. Okay, we'll talk about incarnations. The question is, Valentines, are you currently incarnated on Earth at this time or through fractals? He states, I am incarnated as many beings are through fractals, and there is a massive portion of myself that has not returned. The answer is all the above. The dominant portion of my oversoul is still learning, is not at rest, is here with you today, and is guiding many humans. Okay, let's take another question. Then we're going to talk about birthdays, if your birthday is on Valentine's Day. Okay. My birthday is Valentine's. Is there a significance to this? I've been told we, those who are born on this day, have special purposes. This is true. You and the collective who have chosen to be born on this day often have purposes of loving yourselves. You have purposes of self-love, and then the natural result, which is loving humanity. You unfortunately have imprints and belief systems that stem towards martyrdom or self-sacrifice. You feel neglected, abandoned, betrayed. You feel effectively let down in those areas, and you have often had many traumas in relation to love. Please remember my message to you, for those of you who are born on this day and you hold these belief systems. Understand that nothing can be taken from you. And know that you have heard this before. Understand that you are not unlovable. Understand that you must seek love in a way that is comfortable for you, without judgment from others, and you must take care of yourselves. Okay, let's take another question. All right, we're going to talk about children in loving relationships. All right. Question is, how should a potential mother consider preparing for having her first child? What does it take to be good, ready, and able to parent? He said, the only question that I have to return back to you in answer to your question is, do you love yourself? Do you parent your own child within? That is the biggest concern. However, you have chosen to be here in a state of duality, in a state that is not easy. You have it within you, whether you have parented your own inner child or not, to become a parent. If you can learn through parenting your child, if you are also parenting yourselves, if when you parent your child, you are loving yourself through that parenting technique, you will know this the moment you begin parenting your child and not a step sooner. You will not know this when your child is in utero. You will not know this. For the first few years, you will not know this. It is common that no one is ready to parent a child. I urge waiting on parenthood. And while that is not always a feasible option, biologically, for those of you who want kids now, for many reasons, I urge waiting. And if for any reason you cannot, I urge parenting through love. I do not urge discipline unless it is loving discipline. I urge you to watch your tones, your body languages, but more so your actions. You will know that you are ready to parent a child when your actions begin to parent a child, whether it's a child around you, a loved one, your own inner child. When in your example to yourselves and others, you show a good role model for a parent, loving, safe, kind, compassionate, patient, and tolerant, then you are, in my opinion, officially ready to be a parent. That's hard stuff. All right, let's take another question here. Oh, we're going to talk about mental illness. All right, and parenthood. He just did like this for your question. He was like, I'm not afraid. Move it forward. Move the question forward. All right, the question is, do you think people diagnosed with mental illness such as depression or schizophrenia should not have children? He states, from the logical standpoint, I urge you to wait. I urge you to make sure that you are safe to parent yourself. I urge you to wait as long as possible, not necessarily so that you love yourself. You can learn that through parenting a child. Children are excellent for that, and you are excellent. They are vigilant and ready to teach you how to love yourselves. However, I urge you to wait due to safety concerns if this feeling state that you feel feels unsafe. If you feel unsafe for yourself, it is not to say that you would be unsafe around a child, but you would cause a continuation of the same patterns and belief systems into your child. They would then have your same belief systems when they become parents. I urge you to wait as long as possible. Okay, let's take another question. You're really hardcore, Valentines. Oh, he's going to give me a grumpy answer. The question is, what is, because I can tell because he's doing like this. I'm sorry, and I love the person who who put this question up because I can sense who it is. So I'm sorry in advance, Coaster, if he's going to be mean to you. What is the significance of the angel number 321? The number has followed me since the beginnings of my awakening. Oh, he knows you. He's talking to you. He states, I talk to you, my child, because you understand that your purpose here is love and that you are love. The significance of 321 is an alternative way to approach self-love. It means that you are finally learning self-love, that you are truly ready to teach humanity self-love, that your purpose here is love. It is a rather backwards approach, but it worked for you. And for all of you who hold the significance with this life number, or if you are receiving validations from this sequence of numbers. Thank you for not being rude to him. It gave me a dirty look, and I never know if rude stuff is going to come out of his mouth when I get that look. See, I don't get along with everyone I channel. Common misconception. Someone asked me that a while ago. Do you get along with all the beings you channel? I'm like, no. Okay. We already asked the question if he is currently reincarnated. But since there's more questions involved in this question, we will ask again. This question is Saint Valentine currently reincarnated? He said in fractals. He's stating again, if he chose to reincarnate again, would he choose to follow or practice a religion once more? He's doing like this. He said, would you? And he said it very sarcastically and abruptly. What circumstances would he wish to come back under, and for what purpose? He states, the two fractals of my being that are incarnating into humans on your planet at this time come in for the purposes of love, one for the purpose of love, and one for the purpose of fear. I am learning through each perspective. When I come back more wholly again, I will come back and Earth will be completely different. Earth will reside in a fifth dimensional component of pure love. Okay. Well, I liked your answer. He said back to me, I like your attitude. He's being sarcastic, by the way. Let's see. Let's ask another question here. Do you have any relation to the Gnostic Valentines or his work? He said, I was the Gnostic Valentines, and I encompass and embody his work. This is a portion of my being. This you did not expect. Good to know. Okay. Oh, we're going to talk about his life purpose. Question is, what did you come to this earth to accomplish in your lifetime as Saint Valentine? And do you have anything left you wished to accomplish? He said, I came in with the belief system that I needed to martyr myself or be sacrificed to experience love. I taught the opposite, but my belief was still there, that I could not have any love for myself without completely sacrificing myself. It was a difficult path. I don't have anything left that I wish to accomplish from that experience. When I come back, I would like to teach love without fear, without martyrdom, without sacrifice. No, I'm not going to add the word obviously just because you asked me to. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is a good question about Earth's progress. Let's put it on the screen. Question is, St. Valentine, how do you see this human race transforming the world to a more homelike and peaceful place? He said, I currently don't see you doing that as a collective. The point is not to make Earth feel like home. The point is to find home within yourselves. The point is to become comfortable and safe in ever-changing environments of duality without fear, resentment, bitterness, or suffering. The point is to transcend what you feel is an attachment to the notion of peace and to the notion that peace is operative and to the notion that peace is necessary. You cannot have peace if you perpetually seek it, then you shall not have it. Be peaceful in every possible circumstance that you would perceive as chaos, that would cause fear, that would cause anger, that would cause disruption. And then peace will naturally permeate and change your ever-changing planet. And your planet will then settle. And there will be no need for perpetual transition. Well, I like that message and I agree with him. I'm going to ask this question just because it's fun and I'm interested in the grumpy answer I'm going to get. Why is St. Valentine so grumpy? I feel like I'm talking to a 13-year-old who turns everything around against me and he goes, why are you so grumpy with yourself? Reflection time. That's what he said. He said, seriously, I wish to provoke you to understand that you are very difficult on yourselves. You are your own worst enemies. Release the confines of your moods. Your emotions control you. You have sacrificed yourselves to your own emotions. Feel them, step into them, and then let them go. Say it just like that. All right. Like he likes, shadow work and he likes my work too, and have a component of shadow work in my alchemy process. But he was lecturing me about shadow work the other day, and he's like, tell your clients do not be attached to their shadows. Feel them, go into them, and then let them go. Do not be addicted to your shadows. And he's like doing like this at me. Okay, let's step forward. He asked a question. You're asking a question about Merlin. But I'm not going to put this on the screen because he's grumpy with the question. But he said, can you expand upon what Merlin refers to as the bringers of the diamond swans? And he said, I don't care for Merlin. I don't care for wizards. They are grumpier than I even. He just won't even answer the question. He doesn't like them. I feel like he had a bad experience with some darker magic at some point when I reviewed his Akashic records. And he won't confirm or deny it. He just says, I don't like wizards. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't like them. Someone in the chat said, seriously? He must have just had a bad experience because this doesn't feel like granted, he's not in a fifth dimensional perspective. He's still learning, so he's really grumpy about his bad experiences, just so you know. So I feel like he's projecting a negative experience. So there you go with that. You'll have to ask another being. Maybe when we channel in Yeshua next month. Yeah, that's coming. Easter Sunday. You didn't know that, did you? Okay, let's go towards another question about twin flames. The person in chat said, how can he not like wizards? And he said, because they don't like me. He said it just like that. The next question is, my boyfriend and I are dharmic twin flames. I love dharmic twin flames so much. He looked at me and he goes, don't get all sentimental. Shut up. My boyfriend and I are dharmic twin flames. Can you tell us about some specifics in which we share past lives? He said, please sink into your own karmic existence. I'm not here to teach you about your past. He just goes, next question. I told you guys this is not going to be a bucket of roses and candy. I warned you. Okay, a question about humanity. He looked at me and said, much more relative. Thank you. You are here to teach us about love. Can you please remember that? Okay, question is, how can humanity become more heart-based with each other? Will this be achieved in the future. He said, "You are talking to me from behind a screen. This is a part of the problem. Reach out, shake hands, hug each other, support each other. Bring your supports. Bring food, bring love, bring comfort. Go to each other. Get out from behind their technologies. It is important for the direction of your technical revolution and the industrialization and the technical advances of your society that you have this is necessary. But there is too much of it. Too much candy, too much flowers. That's terrible for what's occurring tomorrow. Too much internet is the same function. Get out from beneath your screens. This is how you can become more heartless with each other. In the direction that you're going, this will be achieved in the future, but it won't be achieved through any choice. It will be achieved through the function and the way that you're headed. Some of you will likely choose love, and you will be experiencing Earth from an ascended standpoint of love. Some of you will choose apathy, indifference, neutrality, ego. You will stay in the Earth currently as it stands now. Okay, let's take another question. Well, we're going to talk about forgiveness. That's good. Question is, how can I best forgive those who hurt me in the past when they are so closely linked to me? He states, and he repeated a part of your sentence, and he said, operative part of that sentence, when they are so closely linked to me. And he quoted you. This is your belief. Cut ties. Cut the links. Simply because you forgive them does not mean that they are allowed to continually and perpetually harm you. Cut the link. When there is no link, there is no harm. When you do this, you love yourself enough to face the fear that would stem from loneliness. You keep the link because you are lonely, because you feel alone. But when you are alone is when you will learn to love yourselves. You don't need the link. Then others will come. You fear that no one will come. Pretend that fear is true. This will cause you to face it. And then you will forgive that person. And then you will love yourselves. And then you will align towards others who love you in constructive, healthy ways, and you will then no longer be perpetually lonely. This is a circle. Join it. Okay, next question. Talking about his legend and a portion of it, and if it's true. The question is, on the day of his execution, he left her a note that was signed Your Valentine, wondering if this legend is true and what he thinks about how we now celebrate the day via exchanging Valentines. He says, I did not leave a note. It's a beautiful lore to follow, but it's just not true. Sorry to shoot you down. I would love if you proceeded to write a love note and a card for yourselves. I would love if you wrote a love note to yourself today. When you cease with this channel, pull out a piece of paper and your beautiful celebratory markings. Create a painting, create a drawing, create something for you and only you before you create anything for anyone else. This will open up your creativity and your love for them as well. Do this today and do this first. This is how I wish you to celebrate, and then celebrate your love for them. And do not cause it to occur only on this day. Celebrate your love on any day of any year. Let's start with you. Write a card to yourselves. He looked at me and he goes, I'm just being truthful, not sentimental. Don't hand yourself a Kleenex. Okay, let's take another question. You were being sentimental. That was very sweet. He's going, shh. See, I think there's like an underlying tone of love there that he doesn't want to share with us. He doesn't want to be seen as a softie. Someone said Saint Valentine can be a bit of a tool. He nodded. He said, a sharp one. He doesn't mind ego, but ego from a place that's healthy. Let's see. The question is, can he share what he observes is happening in the Earth's energy on Valentine's Day? He states, I observe much. I observe that you put forth many beautiful expressions of love for each other, and you put forth this love in a way, unfortunately, that feels sacrificed. And your inner children are crying inside because you have not loved them equally to the amount that you are loving others. This causes for my sadness. This causes for my moods that you mentioned today. This causes for my anger. Still, it is not as beautiful of an expression if it doesn't also extend to yourself. Love is not love when it is forced. When you force yourself to celebrate the love and you feel, oh no, I must celebrate. I must celebrate their love today. I must write a Valentine today, or I'm a bad person. This is what you say. This is what I am observing that you say to yourselves. I don't love that observation. It saddens me. It saddens me. This is why I suggest that you take a day and make it all about you for at least a few hours. And then you may express and share your love for them. I suggest that your partners do the same. I also am saddened by the amount of unrequited love that is expressed, the amount of love that needs to be released. When you love someone who no longer loves you, and yet you operate in denial. When you're too afraid that they may not feel it any further, and you send your Valentines and you express your love. You send a message on your phones when you should be letting those people go to honor and love you. This saddens me as well, unrequited love, that you do not believe is unrequited. Someone said in chat, so he will never eat chocolate for this day, and he face palmed her immediately. He went, just letting you know, that's how he is. Okay, let's look at the questions we've already asked about reincarnation, so I'll delete that one. We're going to talk about food. We haven't gone there yet. Let's do that. St. Valentine, I am unable to safely consume many different foods. Is my intolerance the way I am supposed to be, or could I cure myself of it? Thank you. He said, don't eat what everyone else eats on this holiday, for sure. Many of you are no longer tolerant due to the level of changes in your physical bodies. The density of your physical bodies is changing. You are lightening. You are going through a quickening. When you step through states of spiritual evolution, your body will follow, and your body will no longer be tolerant to lactose, meat tolerance, chemicals, anything that is unnatural, or anything that is animal product. You will no longer be tolerant. You can't cure yourself of intolerance. It would be like saying that you step back from your evolved standpoint and you go to that you devolve. And we don't devolve. You chose enlightenment for a reason and your body followed. Simply change your diet. It's quite simple. Don't lecture her. Sheesh. All right, next question. Well, someone's questioning him about his purpose. I want to know this answer as well. Dear Saint Valentine, what was the purpose of your self-martyrdom? Why would you choose that kind of death? He said, I knew the purpose would be difficult, but I knew that if I incarnated for the purpose of self-love, I knew that if I did the opposite, if I allowed myself to be sacrificed, if I martyred myself, that I would teach people what not to do. Earth tends to go that way. As annoyed as I was at the extent of my death, I also accepted that people would look back, and once they learned the truth of this martyrdom, they would know that this is not the true path to love. I did it because of the way that you operate. Don't do what I did, and then my purpose will have been met. Okay. Well, question about judging. He's kind of judgmental, so I don't know how he's going to take this question. The question is, Saint Valentine, what can we lessen? How can we lessen our judgment on ourselves, on others and ourselves? You said what, but I'm assuming you mean how. How can we lessen our judgments on others and ourselves? Is that what you mean? I'm kind of misunderstanding. I feel like I'm getting the question wrong. Let me know if I'm getting it wrong. He states, you do it for a reason. You do it because you want change. My standpoint on this is going to be effectively different from the channel through which I speak. You do it because you want change so badly. You feel that there is no other path. You feel that there is no other way. You criticize yourselves when you are seeking external changes and you can't make them from an internal standpoint because you are not ready. Then you change your external in hopes that the internal will follow. And even though this is backwards, it will either motivate you to change your inner selves, or it will catalyze you to enough suffering so that you release your stubborn tendencies in your hearts and you will effectively inevitably change yourselves. Either way, the circle goes back to the beginning. Okay, let's take another question. Question about heaven. The question is, are you in heaven? Do you communicate with Yeshua and Mother Mary? Mother Mary has much love. I do attempt to work within her scope. I am not at her state of current evolution. Her patience and tolerance for me is very good, very strong, and I respect her. I do communicate with her, but I am still in my human components very much. My tolerance for her levels of love is significantly different and lesser than her tolerance for me. I love her very much. I could still stand to learn this self-love. She is very patient with me. Yeshua too is very patient with me. He taught me what I knew about the church and about most churches in your lands, and I respect him. We do not believe, not I, nor Yeshua, nor Mother Mary, that there would be one descript place called heaven. We believe in many beautiful places that you are from and that you will proceed to go if you choose. But I am not there. I am not in that state of evolution. I am not in the resting place that you call heaven. I am not in those places. I am mostly in the spirit form, and I guide many humans in spirit form. There are two fractals in me that are incarnating into humans at this time, and The rest of me is operating mainly in spirit form as a guide to many of you. Okay, let's take another question. Love, how animals perceive love. This is a good question. Can you describe the love that is felt by animals and other beings that are not human, extraterrestrials, fairies, angels? And is there something stronger than love that the higher beings know of and feel? The state of oneness that you call consciousness is the highest state of being that is higher than love. And without knowing love, it simply feels empty. When knowing love, it feels like bliss. Animals experience love as loyalty, safety, nurturing, and comfort. Depending upon the type of animal that I perceive, I've noticed various types of love. Some are primitive. Some love in ways that are conducive to their survival. They love their mothers because they need food to survive. Some who are more evolved love for purposes that cannot be explained, and yet animals are evolving at a rapid pace. And they love for reasons of loyalty to each other and humans. Your domesticated animals are becoming very evolved in this facet. They don't necessarily need you, they want you. They enjoy you. They love you much in the same way that I wish for you to love other humans. I would wish for you to love humans in this facet, that you do not need each other, but that you would want each other and desire each other and choose based upon loyalty in the way that your domesticated animals do. Then you shall know love. Fairies and angels. I cannot proceed to discuss fairies without becoming highly agitated and annoyed. They don't operate in love. They operate in a form of light that is difficult to convey to you. They don't operate in anything that is fear or the opposite of love. Fairies operate in pure celebration and bliss. And because I'm not there yet in my spiritual evolution, they are annoying to me. Angels, I forgot to answer that, please. He states there are some angels, there are some angels that have the purposes of love. The one who you know is Gabriel, for instance, operates with the purpose of love. And they experience love in the same way that you do. But they do it without fear, without suffering, without anything that is opposite. It is pure. Angels operate in this function when they have that purpose. Some angels do not come in with the purpose of love. They come in for varying purposes like you do. Some come for purposes of compassion, which is very similar to love. Some come for purposes of strength, which means that love evolves when you are strong. This is who you know as Archangel Michael. They have many purposes. Archangel Uriel follows a purpose of frequency and sound, and this is her love to you, is through sound. It is different for each of them. They perceive love differently and express it differently based upon their unique purposes. Okay, let's take another question here. Okay, how do we connect to Source? That's a good question. The question is, I feel the sun is my connection to Source. How can we connect our higher self to our higher selves and to God? He states, first understand what I didn't when I was alive. Initially, I did not understand that God's source was not one being in the sky that is here to make us suffer. There's not a jealous God. There's not a wrathful God. There's not any of those things with this one being in the sky who sits on a mighty throne and is there to smite you. Chill out. Sometimes I just have to do that to him. It really annoys him. God's source is amongst you. It is in you. Connect to you, love you, connect to you, and understand that you have God within you. This is how you connect. Stop seeking externally. This is how you connect to source. Even if you perceive that the sun, which is external, is God, this too does not connect you to you, and source is in you. Okay, let's take another one here. Oh, I love this question. What is the best way to describe or represent love when not using words, frequency, sound, music, etc.? Humans operate in a state of frequency that requires sound, or so they believe. Sit in silence. Connect without words. Connect from your heart centers merely by being in each other's presence. Sound is something that you can use when you choose not to use words as well. Sit amongst each other and with sound that you both enjoy. This will automatically help you connect. But silence causes you to connect to yourselves and each other. When you connect within silence, emotions will be heard, felt, shared, and then eventually understood in ways that completely eliminate the use of human language and in quick ways that cause for healing and expansion. Connect, hold hands, look into someone's eyes that you love, and speak from your heart without thoughts in your mind. Don't allow thoughts to permeate your mind, without memories, but seek within yourself, and then seek by looking into their eyes and go into their soul, and they will then go into yours. This manner of connecting is important for thriving when you are human. Return to it. Like that answer, I do have a process for that. It's called the connection process. One of my favorite teachers, Teal Swan, also has a similar process called the connection process. And our processes are very similar. So we will definitely talk about that further at a later date. I love to do that. It's one of my it's one of my favorite ways to connect to other humans. Oh, we're going to talk about heartbreak. I knew this question would come up. Let's see. Can Saint Valentine explain how heartbreak is supposed to trigger one into self-love? When I am rejected, I am more likely to hate myself than love myself. So I'm supposed to get angry when I'm angered into self-love? Am I supposed to get angry when I'm angered into self-love? He states, you are angry because you wish to feel empowerment. You are angry because you are actually tired of hating yourself. You are not hating yourself if you are angry. You are angry because you are done with hating yourself. Recognize the source of your anger. Go deeper into your anger. Play it out in your mind, in scenarios in your mind that are very visual. Heartbreak is supposed to catalyze you into understanding that you don't love yourself. If you are truly angry at yourself, go into it further. If you believe that you're angry at yourself, ask why, and go into it further. Why would it be so terrible that you are angry with yourself? You will eventually get back to love because anger is your next evolution, and it is greater than grief. It is in between grief and love. And at least it is not apathy. Now, he does have a good point there. He may be grumpy, but he is very smart, especially about emotions. Oh, we're going to talk about attachment. These are great questions. I am really impressed, guys. Thank you. St. Valentine, please talk about attachment in love. When I fall in love, it's hard not to get attached to unique expressions of the other person. But when it ends, I grieve the loss of being able to experience that person's expressions again, which is fear. He states, you simply answered your concern. Grieve the loss of them. Allow it. You don't want to be alone with you. You fear that this will happen, that you will be alone again and again and again, that you will be abandoned again and again and again. This comes from a belief that you are not good enough and that therefore you will be abandoned. You don't fear abandonment as much as you fear not knowing what is going to occur. Perhaps you could consider the perception in your mind and the visualization of a future that abandonment did indeed occur again and again and again. And then you would face your fear. And then what if abandonment continues to occur? You are not afraid of being alone. You are afraid of being alone for a short amount of time, then loving, and then having something taken from you. And as I stated earlier, you cannot have anything taken from you. This is a truth that I urge you to follow, that nothing can be taken, that matter cannot be created nor destroyed. If you want to be attached when you love someone, ask yourself, is this a terrible thing? It can only be terrible if they don't return the sentiment. If they don't return the sentiment, find the way in which you wish to be attached and attached to yourself. Do it even if you don't want to. Love isn't always doing things that feel good. The unique expressions that you feel are unique are visions of the future you that you wish to be in love with. Fall in love with a potential you that could represent the expressions that you feel are unique within your lover. Didn't expect that. Thank you. Okay, let's take another question. Do you feel there are many here on earth at this time trying to help the world rise above martyrdom and victimhood? He's shaking his head no. I'm asking because I had a relative that lived as a martyr, and many in my family felt this was the highest form of love. He states, no, it's not. Don't follow my example, please. He's being very serious. He did not appreciate that martyrdom or sacrifice would be anything that could be connected to love, with how he has explained it to me. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is a cute question. If Saint Valentine was to write a card to humanity today, what would it say? He would say, I love you when you love you. I love you when you celebrate the love that is the beauty of your own inner child. I love you when you celebrate the truth that is love. But more importantly, I love you when you love you. Trying to pick another question. Okay, St. Valentine, don't blame me for your feelings on your experiences. I send you hugs for standing up for what you believe in. Please provide advice on the effective ways to balance helping others, which brings joy and enough time spent on self-love. Okay. He said, I would urge that you balance it by doing the same things that you do for others for yourself every day. If you do one thing, one loving thing for another, do the same thing for yourself or of equal value to yourself. If you take someone out to eat, do something to nourish yourself. Even if you've already eaten dinner, perhaps you can nourish yourself when you return home. If you provide good advice to someone, turn the advice around and ask, how would I give that same advice to myself, and would that be effective for me? Because the same advice that you would give to others when you help and support and encourage them is something that your inner child wishes to hear from you. Reciprocate to yourselves daily. This will balance it out. He's right. Let's continue. We're almost out of time here, guys. We only have about 5 minutes, so I'm going to wrap up with these final 3 questions, just letting you know. Okay. What is the best way to show or express love towards our spirit guides and angels? He said, understand that your spirit guides are versions of you. When you understand that, then you can stop seeking externally. When you cease to seek externally, your spirit guides will join you. You will feel one with them and remember that you already are. This is the best way that you can express love towards them, is by understanding that they are you. Even the angels that guide you are a part of your spiritual families. Love them because you love you. They want nothing more than for you to stop seeking them and understand that they are a part of you. They want you to stop seeking externally. You can call upon angelic beings. They happen to be a rare exception to external seeking, but they answer you here. You are looking for visuals out here. He does like that. When they are answering here and here. Understand how angels speak to you and that their voices come from above. Okay, let's see. Another question here. I knew this person would say this. I love this person who asked this question. Valentines did not answer my actual question. He's gone. I wanted him to describe love when not using words. Not how do I connect with someone without words. Just wanted it explained to us so that we understand it without words. He's going like this. He stated, you just said the same thing in a different way. Just answer again then in a different way. I'm going to try to get him to answer this. It's like pulling teeth though. And this will be our final question because he's so tough. Okay, let's ask it again. I wanted him to describe love when not using words, not how do I connect with someone without words. I just want him to explain. Like, okay, he goes, oh, you mean the concept? Yes. Okay. The concept of love cannot be described here today. Love is pure. Love is not a frequency or a sound. Love is a beingness. Love is a state of being. Love is not an act. The closest thing that I can describe in the concept of love that you would understand is that love is trust. Love is allowing. Love is acceptance. And love is a being state. I'm not repeating that. And then he said something rude. I'll tell my friend later what he said. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And when I say I love you, she said, so does that mean like dolphins? And he said dolphins without the sound. He nodded though. He confirms it. Just so you know. I love you. I just want to express that. This is an appropriate time to express it. And I know that I express it daily, all the time to you. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. You were a really strong part of teaching me how to love myself. And it wasn't just because of your validation and support either. It was how you supported me during the times when I didn't love myself. So thank you for that. And I urge you to go forward into tomorrow with a deeper understanding of what this holiday is really about for you. And I really do urge you to follow his advice on writing yourself a card. I do feel that that was a beautiful expression. I'm going to do it. We should all share that on my Facebook group tomorrow. And if you want to join, it's at facebook.com/groups/aura reader. I will be sharing the card that I wrote for myself tomorrow. And I would like to see yours as well. Let's get working on it. It's self-love day. Love you. Bye.